This is how to stop rambling in your interviews, being too wordy, and boring your interviewer. First, I want to point out that there is a difference between rambling, being too wordy, and just having a long interview answer. If you're rambling in your interviews, this means you're sharing unnecessary information or unimportant details. Whereas a long interview answer can actually be full of entirely relevant information, it's just not concise enough. So which one of these do you think you're doing? And keep in mind, both of these are not good for interviews. So why is it bad to be too wordy, to ramble on, or to have really long interview answers? Well, it means that you're going to be taking up too much time answering one interview question, and the interviewer won't have enough time to get through all the questions that they were supposed to ask you. Remember, most interviewers at companies are trained not to interrupt the candidate, so they're going to let you talk for as long as you want to. And if you keep rambling and you're too wordy and your answers are way too long, they're only going to get to ask you one or two interview questions in that time period, which means they're not going to get enough data or information about you to see if you are the right person for the job and if they should hire you over all of the other candidates. So basically, rambling and being too wordy is going to get you rejected in your interview. So how can you fix this? Well, you should practice. Duh, but I assume you're already practicing and you're still watching this video, which means it's not working. So what you need to do is teach yourself what is relevant and what is important to talk about in an interview and what is not. So first, let's talk about what relevant information you need to talk about when you're answering an interview question. In order to make sure you're sharing things that are relevant, you need to get as much information as you can about the job description from either the recruiter or the hiring manager before you start to answer any interview questions. Have them talk to you about what this role is actually focused on doing. What are some of the immediate projects that you would work on if you were hired right away? What are some of the current challenges or problems that this team is facing right now? All this information is going to tell you what you should be talking about when you're answering interview questions and choosing what projects to talk about. And everything else that you've done or did in the past is actually not relevant for what they need you to talk about in your answers. This one tip alone will save you from rambling and being too wordy in your interview answers. Because if you don't know what they care about and what they're really looking for, you're going to be oversharing. Next, let's talk about what is important to share now that you know what's relevant. And all of the important information that you need to include in your interview answers is how you solved problems. So all the important information that you need to share is how you did something, why you did something, how you solved the problem, and what the result and benefit was for the company, the team, or the product. And remember, not everything is important to share. For example, you should not give an interview answer like this. We needed to create a new marketing campaign for a new product that was going to launch later this year, but we had a smaller budget than normal. To come up with a really innovative marketing campaign, I scheduled a meeting with the engineering team, the corporate communications team, and our creative agencies. We brainstormed ideas, I took tons of notes, and I shared the immediate action items after the meeting via email. Okay, stop. I don't need to know that you scheduled a meeting, you took notes, and you sent out action items. None of this information is important to share because it doesn't actually show off your marketing skills. It doesn't show off how you solved this problem and what your creative solution was. And it's not going to help you stand out in a really competitive job market. So now, when you are writing out your interview answers or practicing how to answer interview questions in front of your camera, you need to focus on what is relevant and what is important to share. These two things alone will help you stop rambling and being too wordy in your interviews and getting rejected. And if you're struggling with other parts of your interview process, why don't you put it down in the comments below so I can make some content around it and help you be successful. Thank you all for watching. Don't be afraid to shake things up and subscribe if you haven't already.